My name is Harkiran Sehgal. I'm the manager of law admissions at Jindal Global Law School. Today, we have Professor Dr. S.G. Srijit as well as Professor Dr. Manveen Singh with us for this session. Professor Dr. S.G. Srijit is a professor and executive dean, Jindal Global Law School. He holds LLD with high honors from the University of Lapland, MPhil from Jawaharlal Nehru University, MBL and LLB both from University of Kerala. Prior to joining JGLS, he worked with reputed institutions like the Arctic Center, the University of Lapland, National University of Advanced Legal Studies, and the University of Kerala. He has published widely in journals like Third World Quarterly, California Western International Law Journal, Indiana International and Comparative Law Review, Journal of Space Law, Journal of Air Law and Commerce, to name few. His areas of interest are public international law and air and space law. Dr. Manveen Singh is an associate professor and associate dean at Jindal Global Law School. He is also the director of Center for Postgraduate Legal Studies and the deputy director of the Jindal Initiative on Research in IP and Competition. He completed his PhD from Jindal Global Law School. Dr. Singh holds an LLM in Intellectual Property Law from University College London, where he was awarded the Masters of Laws Scholarship and the BA-LLB Honours degree from University Institute of Legal Studies, Punjab. Dr. Singh has published widely on intellectual property rights as well as law of evidence in journals like Journal of Intellectual Property Law and Practice, Queen Mary Journal of Intellectual Property, Berkeley Technology Law Journal, North Carolina Central Law Review, and Capital University Law Review, to name a few. His primary areas of interest are intellectual property rights, technology and innovation, intersection of intellectual property and competition law, as well as law of evidence. Thank you so much, Professor Srijit, as well as Professor Manveen, for joining us for today's webinar. Now we can start with the topic, which is LLM at JGLS, 10 specializations, diverse aspirations. Over to you, Professor Srijit and Professor Manveen.
Yep, thank you very much. I'm sure before we take the questions, I'll just give a brief overview of the LLM program. But of course, I don't want to talk about the things which are available in the website. Rather, I would like to talk about the LLM story, which is actually a story of self-discovery. So let me present some meditations on post-graduation at large so that you get a thoughtful approach to the postgraduate studies. After that, Professor Manveen will speak more about the manner in which the LLM program is organized, the storyline, and all that. So I'll focus on this LLM story, but what I call as the LLM story is a story of self-discovery. It's, as I said, it's some meditations on post-graduation. Interestingly, when you talk about LLM, it's actually the chase of the mystical golden deer. You all know that the mystical golden deer just exists in the myth. It's not a fact. So LLM, first and foremost, is a desire to capture this mythical golden deer whose tale has been narrated to you in the law school. So the mythical golden deer here is actually law, and you are trying to understand the law. You're in chase of it. You're in pursuit of it. Law school has given you actually the desire to go on and to chase it, the mystical golden deer, pursue it. But interestingly, this mythical golden deer won't give you a catch because it's just an illusion. You will end the chase as you end your LLM after 1 year. At that point, you will get to know that at least you have known the art of desiring and the art of chasing, pursuing, persevering, and sustaining. Some additional qualities you gain by the end of that. So the mythical golden deer I spoke about here symbolizes nothing but the knowledge of law. You can chase it persistently, and the chase is what actually is your self-becoming. So first and foremost, you join an LLM for your own self-becoming from being a graduate to a postgraduate. Now, LLM is also an experience. Now, what is that experience which LLM provides? LLM is an experience of knowing the art of knowing for further knowing. So you just learn how to learn so that your learning continues forever. But then what is it that you get from LLM by way of this experience? My response would be that you get something like an intellectual beauty. Intellectual beauty is an inquisitive spirit. It is an inquiring mind, what we call as a critical mind. That's what you actually take away from LLM. What I'm trying to convey is that LLM is not something which you should look very materially, that I'm going to get a postgraduate degree. But LLM is going to give you an altogether different type of experience. Now, when I mentioned about intellectual beauty, I would like to mention that this intellectual beauty comes in the form of the beauty exists even in the chase of that mystical golden deer. And also this beauty is something which you experience as you go ahead with LLM. Now, what is that chase? This chase is beautifully captured by the renowned Victorian poet Shelley in A Hymn to Intellectual Beauty. He says, the awful shadow of some unseen power floats through unseen among us, visiting this various world with as inconstant wing. Now, this is actually the chase which you are doing, because there is something moving very quick and you are trying to capture that. It's a 1 year period. You have to capture the very mystical golden deer called the law or legal knowledge. Second one is the beauty. The beauty is, I said, it's an inquisitive spirit, which too Shelley again captures in A Hymn to Intellectual Beauty. The spirit of beauty that doth consecrate with their own hues, although does shine upon of human thought or a form. That means when you study LLM, all on a sudden you start to sense in the dry marrows. You start to sense that in the dry marrows of the bones of law, there is some divinity, there is a spirit. This is what the transformation that happens from being an undergraduate student to that of a postgraduate student. The third point is that you all on a sudden you start to understand that you have developed a certain perceptions about the form of the law. Means law has a certain form before you. This form comes as inscriptions, canons, statutes, gospels, psalms, and aphorisms. In LLM, all on a sudden these forms disappear. And then you find law as becoming a specter, an apparition. It has no form. It has no frame. It is what it appears before you. So at that moment, you decide what shall be the form and substance of law. So in an LLM, as you study further, you find that law slowly ceases to become what you have understood law as: a statute, an inscription, a canon, or a psalm, or a gospel. But all on a sudden, law starts to appear like an ideology, an idea, or a subtle variation in your mind that gives you the discriminatory power. Well, the discriminatory power is what is law. Is the power to distinguish what is law and what is not law. And this is what exactly you call as the critical sensibility, which you actually gain when you go and do a post-graduation. Now, this discriminatory power is beautifully captured by Khalil Gibran in his famous poetry collection called Prophet. Look at this. What loss shall you fear if you dance, but stumble against no man's iron chains? And who is he that shall bring to you judgment if you tear off your garment, yet leave it in no man's path? This is that discriminatory power about which I've been mentioning. The fourth point is that LLM is a law appreciation course. In LLB, you have accumulated a lot of knowledge of law. Now, all on a sudden, you know that you have been given an orientation to appreciate the law. So that's why pretty much like the film appreciation course or novel appreciation course or poetry appreciation course, I would say that LLM is a law appreciation course. That means it teaches you how to live the life of the law meaningfully. That means in an LLM, you learn the language and grammar of law. You learn the speech of law. You hear the discourse. So you tell and hear the story of law. Here, law, when you read law at a postgraduate level, there's an alchemy. That means how how law impacts human thought and how law impacts human emotions. In other words, LLM teaches you the interplay of law's form, substance, and a certain context. Now, this topic is also titled as diverse aspirations. So this talk is also titled as, the session is also titled as diverse aspirations. Now, what is the diverse aspirations? It's not all about the many specializations which have been presented before you. Rather, I would like to explain this with the help of a metafiction novelist, Milan Kundera. He wrote this novel in 1976 with the title, The Book of Laughter and Forgetting. That's the title of the novel, The Book of Laughter and Forgetting. So when it comes to diverse aspirations, I would like to use how Kundera has conceived this book. There are variations. All through there are variations. And these variations are these variations happen within the students. And also the variations happen in the form of different specializations. But everybody is together in one class, and you're all in search of something. It's not the same thing which you're all searching. You're searching different things, but you're all together despite the different variations. Your own personality, your own intellectual background, your own intellectual commitment, your own social background, and the specialization you have chosen. That's the variation I talked about. So with all these variations, you are together in a class, but each one of you is pursuing something different. Some variations follow the other, some don't. But every variation is different, and each variation is a pursuit, and mostly a lonely pursuit, which ultimately leads into something called a deep interior. And this interior, which each one of you would be inquiring through your respective specializations, is nothing but your own self. Now, the next point is, as you pursue LLM, the desire I mentioned, the desire for that mystical golden deer, the desire to chase that mystical golden deer, the pursuit of the mystical golden deer starts to grow inside you. So I said that you do a journey here, a journey into your own interiors, which is actually your own self, which is getting personalized through your chosen imagination and through your chosen method. This imagination and method could be corporate, alternative dispute resolution, intellectual property rights, human rights, constitution, and so on and so forth. It is nothing but a cornucopia of knowledge, 10 specializations. What is it if not it being a cornucopia? Now, in LLM, as I said, you go deeper and deeper. You chase the deer. It is there, hiding and seeking, appearing and disappearing. And as you move inner and inner into that primordial celestial depths of your mind, the hide and seek continues. Now, do you really get the deer? Well, you don't get the mystical deer, but you have actually derived a certain fun in actually chasing the deer. And in that process, you have learned the art of chasing. A desire has grown in you. The deer is law. Ultimately, deer is what the shape which you give to the deer by way of the imaginative possibilities of your mind. But what keeps developing in you as you pursue your LLM is this desire, the insatiability that keeps growing in you. And then finally, at the end of your LLM studies, you climax in your own discovered self. Now you have gotten the flow. What I mean by flow is you could see that there is something surging within you. You have gotten the flow. The flow, that flow is you. It is your personality. It is your identity. And you say, I am a postgraduate. I'm ready for my willing and acting in the society at large. Final meditations. So LLM is a story of law that you will be asked to narrate. It's not that your teacher is going to ask a tale of the law. You have already been given so many narrations of the story at the LLM level. You choose a specialization and you will be asked to narrate a story. You will be asked to narrate it by your teacher. They will give you all the essential aids to narrate that story. And then all on a sudden, you will see that things turn quite meta, as you also have to become part of the story which is being narrated by you. This is a huge challenge because it's what is being narrated by you is if it is not heartfelt narration of law, or that means if your narrative of the law is not really coming from your heart with a desire to discover yourself, as you continue the pursuit of the mystical golden deer, you will experience a resistance by your own narrative world, the narrative of the law you are building, into which you are trying to enter. You will find a resistance from that narrative, from the systems therein, and also the characters therein won't let you enter there because you are not narrating it from your heart. It's not a heartfelt narrative. That means you will be denied entry to your own imaginations if you don't do that. Hence, my summary is that you have to come here. You have to gather here in order to discover you. That's what LLM offers you. It's a wonderful opportunity to self-discover. Here, no employer is waiting you. No employer is waiting to discover you, but LLM is an opportunity to discover yourself. But no employer will discover you who has not even self-discovered oneself. Now, to conclude this, I would like to quote again Alexander Pope, because Alexander Pope has this popular poem which he has called as Know Thyself. That's what LLM is about. And let me just quote and conclude. This is about yourself. Created have to rise and have to fall. Great Lord of all things, yet a prey to all. So created have to rise and have to fall. That's what we are all. Great Lord of all things, yet a prey to all. We control everything, but we are victims of our own misunderstandings, our own inhibitions, our own narcissism. Sole judge of the truth, in endless error hurled. The glory, just, and the riddle of the world. To summarize all this, as I said, LLM is an opportunity to appreciate the law. LLM is an opportunity to develop a critical spirit. It is an opportunity to develop a thoughtful approach to law. To conclude, I'll give one more analogy. This is actually the theme of the novel by Umberto Eco called The Mysterious Flame of Queen Ilona. As per this, the protagonist of the novel has an accident. He has forgotten his entire past life. He does not know his name. He does not know his gender. He does not know his relatives. But he could recollect every line he read in the every line he has read in the books during his past avatar. So that means that LLM is going to be an experience like that. You literally have to forget your entire experience of the undergraduate level, because LLM, as I said, it's a new experience. It's going to be the chase of the mystical golden deer. but then you shall have the memory of everything you have studied in your law school. Not the experience of learning, but the knowledge of the law, that you have to bring it here, to which you are going to give a new form and a new shape. You're going to be a celestial designer here, a celestial maker who's going to be given the clay and the potter's wheel, through which you're going to design the form of law. And in that form of law, you're going to discover yourself. This is a thoughtful approach. As I've said, these are some meditations on post-graduation. This is not, of course, the details. During the Q&A session, I'll provide more details about our program, the curriculum, the pedagogy, the faculty members, and the learning outcomes. But before that, of course, my colleague, Professor Manneem Singh, will speak to you more about the specializations we offer, the very form and substance of our LLM program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Shijit, for that very insightful commencement to this session. And I can't help but, of course, appreciate the fact of your having talked about one single word and built a narrative around it, and that is experience. Now, I would like to go back about a decade from now, or in fact more than just a decade, and recollect a simple thing that was told to me by one of my teachers back in law school. And that was, my dear students, that LLM is not just a degree, it is an experience. When we say, that it's probably, a good decision to opt for an LLM, that decision is not just based on, or the evaluation of that decision is not based on an extra degree or qualification being added to your name on your CV. Rather, it is about that experience of 9 to 10 months. It's not even a year for that matter. It's about 9 months of rigorous study and training and interactions and so on and so forth. But a hell lot of experiences that you will see or undergo over this period of 9 to 10 months. Now, it most importantly prepares you for the future, one, but more importantly, it trains you to become a decision maker. Merely completing your undergraduate or graduate degree would not place you in a position where you are probably fully confident in terms of what you're going to do next. And that's what we've observed over the years, even at Jindal, that students are often keeping several options open. At times, they are coming to us and asking us, okay, sir, ma'am, I'm almost approaching the final year. I have just entered into my final year of law school. And I'm thinking whether I should probably take up a job or that has been offered to me, a position, or apply for jobs wholeheartedly, or leave both the things aside and pursue an LLM or start with my applications. Once you are done with your LLM, this sort of dilemma that was there a year back probably would no longer be there, because that 1 year or so would have trained you to be a better decision maker, to be someone who has better clarity in terms of what he or she wants from, or what they want from life going forward. And of course, a little more clarity in certain cases in terms of what line, what field of law you want to pursue your career in. I mean, whether you want to, again, get into litigation, or you want to join a corporate law firm, or you want to join academia, whichever be the case, there are several diversifications even after that, because, for example, even if you plan to join academia, it's important for you to know what are the courses, what are the areas, what are the subjects which you are comfortable taking up, which you are comfortable teaching. If I talk about the corporate sector, you need to be sure, okay, what is it that you're looking for? Are you looking for corporate litigation, or are you looking for, civil litigation? Or probably you just want a desk job and you don't want to get into active litigation. You probably want to sit in the office and do the work that is then going to be helpful to your colleagues. in terms of course, taking up a case in the court of law and arguing. If you want to get into full-time practice, that point also, civil matters, criminal matters, service matters, etc., etc. It depends on what exactly you want. But a lot of times, this clarity does not come along. And I'm not saying it's always the case. Most of the time, it's so that this clarity doesn't come along after your first degree or first couple of degrees. Why I'm saying couple of degrees is because there's a possibility someone did an undergraduate degree and then after that pursued LLB, 3 LLB. So, despite the fact that you've done a law degree, probably you'd still not be in a position to figure out, okay, what is it that you want? LLM offers you that space. LLM offers you that time. And LLM, most importantly, offers you the experience, which would then allow you to take things further from that particular point. Now, the biggest question that probably might be facing all of you today is why LLM at JGLS or why JGLS at the very first instance. I very confidently would want to say the following. We might need a lot of convincing we might have to put in a lot of effort in terms of convincing students who do not study at JGU or JGLS or who have not studied at JGU and JGLS and come from different institutions to pursue a degree here, which is the LLM degree. However, on the flip side, I do not see there being too many reasons why we would require a lot of convincing with our own students because of what you are aware of, because of what you are fully well versed with, and because of the fact that your grounding, your fundamentals have become so strong by the time you are at the fag end of your degree, undergraduate degree or graduate degree, as the case may be, that transition from the undergraduate level or graduate level to the postgraduate level is pretty much seamless. And we've observed that over the years with our own graduates who then ended up enrolling in the LLM program, that it's like this river flowing and changing its course seamlessly as the water goes ahead with the stream. Something similar happens at JIM. When you do your undergraduate or graduate degree at JGU or JGLS more specifically, it becomes even more easier for you to make that transition because, of course, there's a certain level at which we teach at JGLS and we take full pride in that. And we, of course, meet global standards in terms of our pedagogies and curriculum and, the way different courses are structured, so on and so forth. But we also at the same time recognize that LLM is a step higher, a notch above, and supposed to be so. And therefore, the way the courses have been curated for our LLM students across different specializations is pretty much unparalleled in the country. Of course, we meet the best of the standards and we meet global standards and we ensure that students have, an opportunity to cover literally every facet of the law or the specialized branch of law that they are pursuing. But interestingly so, we also offer the students an opportunity to pursue an LLM as a LLM in general legal studies, which therefore means that you have the option to pick whatever course you want across the law school that is floated as an elective. Besides those couple of compulsory courses, which everybody has to study across all specializations, your other 6 courses you can pick up as per your wishes. Now, that allows you to pursue courses of your choice the line of your choice, the area of your choice, and of course, without being asked to pick a certain specialization. That's one category, one set of people pursuing LLM at JGLS. But on the other side, you of course have the option to pick or opt for any specialization. And in that regard, we allow you, in addition to LLM in general legal studies, 9 other specializations. These are, to begin with, LLM in ADR, alternate dispute resolution, LLM in constitutional and administrative law, LLM in corporate and financial law and policy, LLM in criminal law and criminal justice, LLM in human rights, LLM in intellectual property and technology law, LLM in international law, LLM in international trade and investment law, and lastly, LLM in taxation. Now, with these 10 specializations, it's a full-fledged, flourishing LLM program, which offers specifically JGLS students an opportunity to simply jump from one degree to the other and be able to embrace that next step in their learning and ensure at the same time that quality is not compromised. Because we know what your expectations are. We are very well aware of the challenges that are there in front of us when we have to meet those expectations. And even more important is the fact that those fundamentals probably, that are there in place with respect to your learning ends up raising the bar even higher. So much so that we have our task cut out as a part of Center for Postgraduate Legal Studies, or CPGLS. Because we know that students are coming with an expectation, especially JGLS students are coming with an expectation. And that expectation is that there is going to be absolutely no compromise on the quality and the global nature of the curriculum that is offered as a part of the different courses taught across these specializations. Now, all of this has been curated in a manner whereby we balance everything and balance it in a way that at times guest lecturers from even foreign universities, institutions, organizations have come down to the JGU campus and delivered guest lectures to our LLM students. It was easier when we were in the virtual mode. You could possibly get anybody from any part of the world, somebody sitting in Brazil could deliver a lecture to you guys, assuming that you all are a part of the LLM degree or the LLM program. However, with the physical classes resuming, it wasn't that easy to expect people from abroad coming down and kind of addressing the students, but we've not allowed that to be compromised at all, because at every nook and corner there's an opportunity for JGU and JGLS to collaborate with other institutions across the world. And whenever we do that, we ensure that whenever a partner is around and whenever a senior faculty member is around, we ensure the lectures are delivered so that you get a global perspective to everything that is being covered in the class by your own faculty members, who by no means are leaving any stone unturned. But you realize the fact that at times guest lecturers are able to offer you that little bit extra or out of the box from their own experience from some part of the world, which is directly or indirectly connected to what you are studying here. So our purpose is to tell you what we have on offer, what we want you to embrace, And of course, there'll be no one more happier than all of us here at Jindal to have you with us for at least one more year and experience the beauty of this LLM degree, as was very nicely explained by the Executive Dean, Professor Srijit, before me. So, of course, we are always there to answer all the questions that you may have with respect to any particular specialization or general questions or admissions related questions. Of course, we're working on the clock to ensure that you do not face any difficulty in terms of applying or going ahead with your applications in case, you are, of course, in the process of doing so. So I'd be happy to take questions, of course, once we are done with our initial remarks. And I look forward to having most of you become a part of this journey. This journey is incomplete. That additional period of 9 months or 1 year is something that probably will transform you into a more complete individual, into an individual who's capable of taking decisions independently. And lastly, an individual who is truly the flag bearer of Jindal Global University and Jindal Global Law School. With that, thank you so much for patiently listening to me. I would now allow my colleagues to go ahead and allow the students to ask questions if they may have for Professor Srijit as well as for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Srijit and Professor Manveen, for sharing your insights regarding our LLM program at CPGLS. I would now like to invite our students to post any questions that they have in the chat box. So we have a question from Shreyas. Please explain the scope of LLM in taxation law at JGLS.
Okay, so Prashit, do you want me to go ahead?
You respond and then I'll add to that.
Okay, all right, sure. Thank you so much. So, of course, you would have already, Shreyas, I suppose, had studied tax law or at least, a course or two during your undergraduate program at JGLS. However, LLM in taxation law is actually the next step that prepares you to enter the field of taxation and the practice of taxation law, because there are certain limitations when you are studying law of taxation during your undergraduate degree, and it is possibly it's not really possible to accumulate and accommodate literally every facet of taxation law as a part of the main course or the core course, compulsory course, and probably even maybe, let's say, an elective or two. So LLM in taxation law offers you an all-round sort of an experience whereby you are studying direct and indirect taxation. You're basically studying the differently curated modules of taxation law split across 2 semesters, and they also include sort of a practical experience of how taxation matters are handled and what sort of challenges come before the authorities or the appellate tribunals when these kind of cases come up. So when you say what is the scope of LLM in taxation law, I would say it's endless, because you see these days, I mean, just as an example, on any random day, go on to LinkedIn, and of course it will depend on the people you are following or the people you are connected to or your connections on LinkedIn. Almost every second, third day, there is a high profile tax matter that is being talked about or that is being reported, or being shared by someone on LinkedIn. And that someone could either be, a lawyer or someone working in a law firm. And these are high stake matters, So of course, doing an LLM in taxation law means, therefore, that your knowledge, your grounding becomes even more sound. Your concepts are absolutely spot on, and you have a fair enough idea of what is likely to come your way the moment you enter the field of taxation law or the practice of direct or indirect tax, whatever, of course, is the line that you prefer to take later, or both, as the case may be. But one thing that is very important is that, in any of these fields, even other than taxation law, it is important for you to actually understand the nuances. And understanding the nuances takes time and personalized sort of an attention, which in a big group of 60 people is a little difficult. But if you have a smaller group of about 20-25 people, it becomes easier. And that's how foreign universities also work. Smaller groups, better interaction, easier breakdown of assignments, hypotheticals, discussions, interactions, so on and so forth. And that connection that you strike with the faculty member who's teaching you allows you to better understand what the other person is trying to tell you or trying to explain you. So, of course, if you talk about the scope for LLM in taxation law, I would say, it's all out there for you to embrace. Because tax is never going to go out of business. Or demand for tax lawyers is never going to end. That's how our countries, or that's how the world operates, because tax is a repellent. You don't want to, nobody wants to pay tax, right? And that's where your pool is, So these are the people who are evading tax are somewhere down the line kind of becoming directly or indirectly, your gold mine, if I talk about litigation. So, of course, we can talk more about it in detail, but I would like to also take other questions. And in case Professor Shijit wants to add to what I've already said. Professor Shijit, please.
Yeah, on the tax, I'll just emphasize the advantage of studying tax with Jindal Global Law School. Of course, my idea is actually to emphasize the strength and focus here. So as our middle name suggests, Jindal Global Law School, we have a global emphasis when it comes to teaching tax. And Jindal is also, apart from providing, tax law, generally you study with a large dose of practice to that. But of course, there is also something called the tax academia. There is something called the tax law related research. And of course, in Jindal, there is a heavy emphasis on tax law related research, which generally, we often overlook. And this is mainly driven by the Center for International and Comparative Taxation. All the faculty members teaching in Jindal Global Law School are associated with the Center for International and Comparative Taxation, which is a small epistemic community there. So specially designed tax law elective courses come from the center's collective and individual efforts, which include electives on transfer pricing, tax treaties, tax administration, corporate taxation, and so on and so forth. So in sum, the global perspective and also the comparative perspective to taxation with the Jindal Global Law School offers, of course, is a strong reason why somebody should think about studying tax with Jindal Global Law School.
Then we have a question from Astha. She's asking whether custom laws and GST laws are a part of the LLM in taxation law.
Well, as we have mentioned, here the LLM curriculum is designed in a way that you have actually 10 subjects in total, including a dissertation, of which 3 subjects are pretty broad: law and justice in a globalizing world, comparative public law, and legal research methodology. Now, the 6 specializations we offer, we have already identified the tax law electives from out of the 150 elective courses offered every semester in the Jindal Global Law School. So you will find actually elective courses exclusively on customs law. But of course, that would also become part of many of these elective courses which I have named. But of course, I don't think you should specifically look for one module. Of course, you will find this kind of a module on customs law or excise law as part of many other tax law courses, not only offered by the Jindal Global Law School, also offered by the other schools with a large dose of interdisciplinarity. But then, of course, one thing we can assure you is that you will never be left high and dry. You will never be desiring for a subject. You will not find a topic which is not taught from this cornucopia of courses which we offer.
I think there are many questions by the students related to the placement opportunities available after LLM. So if you can throw some light.
Well, I'll
Yes.
invite Professor Manveen also to speak on that. But my first point is that don't look at any studies from a placement perspective. That's absolutely a bad way to approach, be that LLM or engineering or MBBS or even any kind of studies. You know that you are joining a school not to get a job. You're joining a school to learn things. I've mentioned that it's an experience that matters. If right from the beginning of your law school, be that LLB or LLM, if you know your destination, you might reach there, but you're going to miss your experiences which the law school offers. So you have to embrace things in its totality. If you, I would say, if you are desiring to be a part of Jindal, desire for the quality of the faculty members, desire for an outstanding learning, desire for outstanding learning outcomes, desire for rich knowledge. All these will collectively lead you to your destination, which you have just spoken about the placements. So law school is not a placement agency. No law school will guarantee a job, but we'll prepare you in a way that you are best equipped to perform your social function. So job, again, I don't even want to call it like job, it's a social function. You should be competent yourself, first of all, to function, first of all, to perform a social function. So every law school will guarantee you that we'll train you, we'll provide you with the knowledge, we'll provide you with the skills and make you competent to perform a social function. We'll also submit opportunities before you in the form of placement opportunities. Well, cracking that to proving yourself suitable to perform that social function is your job. Professor Manveen, do you have anything to add to this?
I mean, what I would like to say, of course, is in continuation of what you very rightly and succinctly just put before the students, and that is, whenever an institution actually guarantees you any kind of placement, I think that's a red flag in itself, because there can never be a guarantee for any kind of placement to any student, no matter who you are. What is guaranteed is that opportunities will come and opportunities will be offered to you, right? How you pick on those opportunities is not something that anybody else is going to do for you. That's what you are going to do, and that is for what we are preparing you. Opportunities come, opportunities are going to be offered to you. Recruiters come, recruiters will, of course, they'll ask something. They'll ask for a certain list. They'll ask for a certain basic minimum criteria to be fulfilled by students. And all those students who fulfill that basic minimum criteria, their profiles are going to be shared with them. But ultimately, who's going to sit in the interview? You're going to sit in the interview. We are not going to appear for you in the interview saying, okay, we are representatives of the students, right? So it's you. But every good institution, every reputed institution, their job is to prepare the students for what lies outside the institution and what lies ahead for the students. And those opportunities need not necessarily come from within the institution. But if the institution prepares you well, opportunities are going to be, aplenty. So please don't treat this as sort of a give and take, that I take admission in the LLM program and in return what I'm getting is another shot at a job. No, that's never the case.
And I would also like to clarify that we don't guarantee you a job. This is not a placement agency, but we'll enable you. And also, what's the point in placing somebody who's not even competent to perform that job? So the matter is very simple. We assure 100% opportunities. We assure 100% competency development, but we don't assure placement. I think no law school in the world will offer you a placement. That's not the reason why you take education.
Right. So, Kiran, I think that answers that question. Now, there are a couple of questions which I would like to take. Prashijit, if you please allow me to take a couple of questions that I see in front of me, and I'll just kind of club a few questions. So, Madhav has asked, will 9 months be sufficient for completing the whole syllabus of corporate and financial law and preparing the students for industry ready? Now, Madhav, well, that's a good question, but let me also tell you that. That's pretty much the universal, practice that is there to be observed. That you might consider 9 months as a short enough period for, taking up these 10 different courses, out of which, of course, your dissertation is also one of them. But if you look at how the LLM course is structured, not just at JGLS, but at most of the institutions abroad as well, 9 months is a fair enough period for you to get that advanced level of knowledge. spread over a period of about 14-15 weeks, or anywhere between 12 to 15 weeks, depending on what institution you are in. At Jindal, we probably have, somewhere around 15 weeks of teaching. Now, this is a good enough period for you to actually get the knowledge that you require to take that next step, and it is not necessarily with respect to just corporate and financial law a specialization, but it is with respect to every single specialization that is out there. It's enough. I mean, if you study properly, then you are good to go. But the moment you start thinking that, well, just like the undergraduate degree, I will have some leeway. I will have time for, doing different things besides my academic endeavors. Then probably you would be losing out on some valuable time of yours. But, just like you do at the undergraduate level, you still get December and Jan off. Now, as an LLM student, your target should be to intern or work at least for those 2 months with someone, or be it at a firm, be it as an in-house counsel, or be it with an advocate, And for internships, also, it's important to have a certain focus. Focus is not just necessary for study or for your academic performance, but focus is very important for anything that you do in life. So you need to be focused in terms of your internships as well. And it's not like, okay, I'm done with 1 semester of my LLM and now 2 months I'm going to enjoy it. I would say that's not the correct approach. The correct approach should be, okay, I'm going to intern, I'm going to make the most of this time because I barely have just 9-10 months, So those 9-10 months should be absolutely, stacked with my schedule and my classes and my dissertation work and etc. Of course, you will get time to enjoy on campus itself. I mean, you would see LLM students doing that, or if you are in touch with any a senior who's pursuing LLM, probably they'll be able to tell you, how much time off they get. But what is important is that you make the best utilization of this time. 9 months is a lot of time to actually cover what all is supposed to be covered as a part of the specialization, right? I hope that answers your question. Then Harit has a question: when the college allows students to engage in internships, part-time work alongside the course, provide a course that will meet the minimum. Harit, ideally speaking, if you are in a full-time LLM degree, you shouldn't be thinking about work, firstly. But internships, again, there is a period for that. The university, the law school does not encourage any student to work while they are enrolled as a full-time student in any course for that matter. Forget LLM, So your focus should not be on looking at pursuing an LLM as really a part-time student, not a full-time student, because you are working. See, attendance criteria is not set for there to just tick the box or meet the criteria that is required to be met. But it is to inculcate in you a certain discipline, a certain sense of responsibility towards what you are doing in the most honest of ways. At the undergraduate level, you might not be taking attendance seriously, but at the LLM level, everybody takes attendance very seriously. And this is, again, a universal practice. If we went abroad and we studied as a part of our master's degree there, it was almost, always the case that we wouldn't miss any lecture. We wouldn't even think about missing a lecture. So you shouldn't consider this that, okay, I'm not going abroad, I'm staying in India, I'm staying back in India, or I'm pursuing an LLM at Jindal, I might as well work simultaneously. No, forget about work. If you study properly, if you get what is taught to you in the class properly, that work can wait for a few months, and maybe there are better opportunities waiting out there for you, rather than those few extra months of work that you might have been able to kind of squeeze in with your LLM. Anyway, it's a fully residential campus, and it's a fully residential degree, or a fully residential program. So ideally speaking, you would not be able to kind of do anything of that sort, but we strongly discourage that either. Okay. So I hope that kind of answers your question as well. Asta has a Asta says, which is the better choice, LLM in general or LLM in a specialized branch like IPR? Asta, that's completely your call, to be honest. And uh, this decision in terms of what is most suitable for you is something that probably you will be helped with before the commencement of the new academic year. We usually hold an orientation program in a very detailed manner for our prospective LLM students or incoming LLM students, for them to actually pick the right specialization for them or take the right call in terms of what they wish to pursue. So, for every specialization, there would be detailed knowledge given to you by the professors who teach as a part of the Center for Postgraduate Legal Studies and in each of these specializations, so that you can hear them out, you can listen to what all is offered as a part of every specialization, and then take a call on whether you want to go in for a general LLM or a specialized LLM. It's completely your decision, but our job is to help you make that decision and probably to make it easier for you to make that decision. And that will happen sometime towards the end of June, beginning July, when we hold the orientation sessions, and we'll start talking about what all is on offer for each of these specializations. I hope that that answers your question. So Rashid, I think it's a good question that probably you should take up. Anant Vijay says, and I'm going to read the question out to you. Because I think there's a philosophical aspect to this, and I'm kind of very much inclined to answer this, but I think you should probably begin with the answer to this question. What extracurricular and co-curricular opportunities are available to LLM students in JGLS? Are they at par with students who are enrolled in undergraduate courses? If yes, can we also draw a parallel for professional opportunities that are available to LLM students post completion of their course?
Yes, good question. The only disadvantage you will have is that you are here just for a year. Barring that, every opportunity is open for LLM students, and there are some opportunities which are exclusively open for LLM students. So as far as extracurricular and co-curricular activities are concerned, why do we do that? Well, we do that so that there's a holistic development of the student. And every student enrolled here, be that an LLB student, LLM student, or a BA student, or even a PhD student, we aim at the holistic development of the student. So co-curricular and extracurricular activities, including mooting. Even though you're here for a short period, of course, you are also eligible to be part of the Moot Court Society. You are eligible to get a membership there. You are eligible to bid for competitions. No opportunities denied you, because you are also part of that project of us, whereby the project of us by which we aim at the holistic development of the student. Now, again, you are here for 1 year, and that's going to be some disadvantage. You may not be able to get, say, an externship with the Supreme Court of Hawaii, which we generally provide to undergraduate students, because by the time for externship comes, you will be graduating. You may not be able to join the pathway program, LLB leading to JD, or LLB leading to LLM. But of course, you have your own opportunities whereby you could actually go for a dual LLM. After completing an LLM in Jindal, using the LLM as a pathway to move into the LLM program offered by a partner university. You could avail the outstanding opportunity which we provide for joint supervision of the dissertation with our partner university, so that you will have a supervisor from here, you will have a supervisor from there. As far as placement and other opportunities are concerned, as I've said, that placement does not depend upon depend upon programs. It depends upon your competency. Firms or recruiters, they need competent people. They are not looking at whether you are LLB, LLM, or a BA legal studies. That's not the way they are looking at. Is your foundation strong enough? Do you have the essential competency? Do you have the willingness to work? This is what they test, and it's about how much you are able to demonstrate that before the recruiters. So, barring the time scale you spend in Jindal, which is of course relatively lesser in comparison with undergraduates like BA LLB or BB LLB, BCom LLB, and LLB, you are going to be disadvantaged. Barring that, there is nothing. The school is as much as yours, as much as it is there.
Thank you, Prashit. I think that kind of sums this up very nicely. That opportunities are pretty much the same across the different courses or the different streams that are there at JGLS. And of course, students
There is a
sometimes.
question on the LLM in environmental and climate change. Probably you might like to take, and that I'll also add to that a little bit about the
Sure.
speciality, about the uniqueness of that program.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Shivani has asked that question. So yes, Shivani, you are right. This course will be the classes will be held in Delhi. They are held in Delhi, and it's of course in collaboration with the WWF. So there is a lot that is a part of this course, at least in terms of the practical experience, which is unique in itself because there are field trips and other visits clubbed along with the classroom teaching. And of course, you get a holistic perspective of everything there is to know about environmental law and, of course, climate change and energy law. And now, what is also important to note here is that, as a part of this program, you would feel definitely that there is an additional layer that is added to this program or this LLM specialization or LLM branch, and that is that there's a very fine blend of practical and theoretical teaching as a part of this program, which probably might not be there. And when we talk about environment and climate change, and of course WWF, it's important to actually go out in the field and not just interact in the classroom, the physical space that is the classroom. And that's exactly what happens as a part of this program. So, you could probably also enroll in this program, and the classes take place in Delhi. But of course, there's nothing different that is there. The opportunities and all are pretty much available mostly to the LLM students who are enrolled in the WWF, in the LLM environmental law that is run in collaboration with WWF. So yes, of course, it's unique in itself. But what I would recommend is, Shivani, if after our session today, you could drop an email to Ms. Harkiran, and she could probably connect you with the concerned person at WWF, who's also an alum of the program. And he can probably explain you everything that you would want to know. So again, I'm just talking about Tejas. So if you could connect Shivani with Tejas, I think that would be great. He
Sure.
would be more than happy to help her, right? And all the nuances about the program, I think he's best placed to actually talk about the same.
On the WWF, the LLM which we offer program, which actually makes you feel about the subject matter. They develop that feel I spoke about. This is because of the large emphasis on the field learning, large emphasis on policy, and larger emphasis on law. So this course definitely explores the essential intersections, law and policy, law and strategy, and law and society. So that way, this is one of the finest programs one could take if you really want to get that feel, which Professor Manveen has presented as that blend of practice and theory. But that's what I meant by feeling the subject matter. Moreover, this course is offered in collaboration with a very distinguished forum like the WWF. The World Wildlife Fund brings in its own rich value set to the table. Most importantly, all the commitments of the WTO for the global protection of the environment, for the global protection of the wildlife, that has actually become part of all those values that have become actually part of this particular program. So in that sense, yes, if you really want to get a feel of the subject matter, this is a course worthy to be explored.
Right. Harsh, good question you asked. Actually, this year onwards, we have introduced 3 new specializations, out of which LLM in criminal law and criminal justice is one of the 3. The other 2 being LLM in international law and LLM in constitutional and administrative law. The detailed course outline of LLM in criminal law and criminal justice should be up on the website very soon. Nonetheless, you could still write to Ms. Harkiran, and she would be, of course, happy to share with you the detailed breakdown of all the courses that are going to form a part of the LLM in criminal law and criminal justice specialization, right? So there's just been a little sort of time-taking exercise with respect to these three specializations, because we are starting them afresh, or we're kind of starting them for the first time this coming academic year. So for these three, the information is still in the process of being put on the website, which is the reason why you wouldn't have been able to find the details online. I hope that kind of helps and answers your question. Krupa has asked, what are the total number of seats? Professor Srijit, I think the admissions office probably
240 on campus.
Yeah, 240 in the residential program is the number that we are looking at for the coming academic year.
There's a question on student exchange. Yes, LLM students can actually avail the student exchange during their second semester. It's possible for them to spend a semester with a partner university, and we'll work mainly through credit transfers. But of course, you have to, when it comes to choosing the university, when it comes to choosing the courses, it should be something that meets with your specialization. If you have chosen a specialization, if it's a general LLM, that won't be a problem. But of course, all eligibility criteria apply to you. Professor Manvi, there's a question on criminal law specialization.
Yeah, so of course, Shubham, I think, yeah, Shubham. So Shubham, criminal law, like I just mentioned, the criminal law specialization is something that we are going to start with this coming academic year, and our focus basically is not just limited to the aspects of IPC and CRPC and evidence, but also criminal justice, and to a certain extent criminology, or the principles of criminal justice and criminology in addition to criminal law. So it's again a fine blend of everything that there is to know about criminal law and the practice of criminal law, and how does the criminal justice system work, and what are of course the different challenges, that yet at the same time get deeper into the different aspects, core aspects of criminal law and criminal justice, including, for example, anti-terror laws. Now, you wouldn't really come across a course like anti-terror laws that commonly across universities, even in the undergraduate degree. But here, we are trying to ensure that we have a unique set of courses taught as a part of the criminal law specialization. So, of course, you will see different facets of criminal law and criminal justice being covered as a part of the specialization. And once more details come out, of course, you will get to see them on the website, as well as the brochures will be shared with you. So that'll kind of give you a sort of a detailed insight into what all is going to form a part of these the different modules that are going to be covered during the specializations. Okay, Barkha, that's a very interesting observation, actually, that you've heard from different people that LLM of 1 year holds no value in future if a person wants to pursue her career in teaching. I mean, Professor Srijit and I, myself, we are sitting here today, and I don't see any reason besides us. Of course, there are n number of faculty members in Jindal who have done the 1 year LLM program. Some of them might have done the 2 year LLM as well. But what I'm definitely certain in terms of my answer to your question is that this is absolutely misplaced and incorrect. There is no such thing. A 1 year LLM is very much recognized. A 1 year LLM is very much the right kind of foundation that is required for someone to join academia. I finished my LLM in the year 2013, 2012, 2013, 1 year LLM, and I've spent a decade here at CPGLS, and not once did I face any problem in terms of a student struggling to basically find an opportunity in academia because they did 1 year LLM. I mean, even our own alum from the LLM program have been hired by the university. And in fact, just to kind of share this with you on grounds of anonymity, just yesterday I got a message from one of my former LLM students that the student has been offered a faculty position at JGLS. So, I mean, definitely there is nothing to be worried about. There's nothing to be apprehensive about. Whether it is in India or anywhere around the world, 1 year LLM is absolutely fine and absolutely safe in terms of the credibility that that is attached to it. Rashid, would you like to say anything with respect to this?
This is probably this kind of an anxiety is coming from a perception that 1 year LLM is too short a period to specialize, whereas 2 years are a good time actually to specialize. Well, that's absolutely wrong. I told you that neither 1 year nor 2 year will make you a specialist of anything. LLM is not to develop specialists. LLM is actually to give you a certain personality. It's actually going to give you a thoughtful approach to law. It will develop certain skills in you, certain imaginations in you, and certain abilities in you. But LLM is not going to make you a specialist, and 2 years for that matter is too short for anything. So probably this anxiety is coming from this misperception that 1 year means something is going to be offered like a bridge course. That's not it. 1 year will give you adequate glimpse into that domain of law, that spaces of law which you have not explored during your undergraduate days. So is the case with 2 year. Now, one thing about the future of 1 year LLM, I can tell you one thing without any doubt in my mind that 1 year LLM is going to stay. Maybe that alongside the 2 year LLM, whereby 1 year LLM might become actually a privilege, and 2 year LLM might become actually the norm. That is a possibility, but 1 year LLM is not going to go anywhere. 1 year LLM is globally recognized. It is the global practice actually to offer to keep LLM as 1 year. The idea is, again, as I've mentioned, 9 months will make nobody a specialist of anything, but 9 months will make you a very transformed individual. I said that you will go in pursuit of that mystical golden deer. You will learn the art of chasing. You will learn the art of imagining. You will learn perseverance. You will learn sustenance. You're going to get a lot of qualities by being an LLM, by being in an LLM program. Specialization takes years. Years means not even 2, even 5 to 10 years to develop a specialist. Even I would dare to call me a specialist of anything. I mean, I would hesitate to call myself a specialist of anything. I could only say that I have areas of interest. So specialization is something which takes years. That means you are the best in that. You are a master in that. And to be a master, it takes years of experience. So if that anxiety is coming mainly from the fact that 1 year LLM is too short, well, LLM has nothing to do with the duration. It's more about the orientation and the experience which will be provided to you and what you make of it.
Krupa is asking, after pursuing masters in corporate law, what are the areas of jobs available? Again, Krupa, the answer is very simple. Once you have specialized in corporate law, I think the entire industry is out there for you to embrace. I mean, you could possibly look at a corporate law firm. You could look at probably a position as an in-house counsel. You could look at corporate litigation. Of course, there are so many opportunities out there, and these days, of course, there's a lot of demand for lawyers, not just in law firms, but companies as well. And they have huge, teams working as in-house counsel. So, of course, your opportunities as a corporate lawyer are no longer limited to just probably 1 or 2 domains. And more importantly, you could also always look at academia, because corporate law as a branch, as a field is quite diverse and is quite broad, that you could probably look at picking several different subjects or courses as ones that you would like to teach or you would like to kind of carry out research in. And of course, there are a lot of other opportunities that might come your way once you have specialized in corporate law. And that need not necessarily be restricted to, again, just the law firms, because sometimes you do get these kind of a blend of you could say grants come research positions. So the opportunities need not just be restricted to one particular line, one particular field. You're always pretty much out there, just like any other undergraduate student who has interest in corporate law. So I would say that it's probably a wise choice to actually even look at corporate law specialization and then probably see what comes your way post that, or even during the time that you're doing this, you're doing your LLM in corporate law. There'll be a lot of opportunities that you'll come across, and who knows? I mean, you might just find an opportunity to probably, kind of take up right after your LLM without wasting any time. So just keep your options open and have a sort of a broad vision about what you exactly are looking for post your master's in corporate law. That's what I would say.
There is a question which again raises a concern that during the BBA LLB program, I did not get any opportunity. Well, I did not, I mean, my courses lagged practical skills to flourish. Well, again, let me tell you, practice is what you learn by practicing. Law school is not the place to learn the practice. Why do you come to law school? Any law school for that matter, be the Jindal Global Law School or any other law school. Law schools give you the knowledge of law. And when you sit for the placements, they're not actually testing you on your practical experience. They are testing you, do you know the law or not? What's generally being tested on a 0 day in the law schools? Knowledge of the principles in law of contract, whether you understand law of tort, whether you know legal methods. Do you understand the essential jurisprudence? This is what it tested on a 0 day or on the day 1 or the day 2. It's not that how much of practice you have. So please don't underbid this misperception that I need to have practical experience in the law school in order to get placed. No, practice is what you learn while practicing it. So the law firms, the corporates, they're all there to recruit people who know law. They will train you. In your routines, you are going to learn actually the practice. So prepare yourself in a way that you are the finest person with the finest knowledge of law, with the finest applicational skills. So applying law to fact, applying law to context, that of course the law school will teach you. Master yourself in that. Practice is something, as I said, you learn when practicing. Those are the standard operating procedures of the court, standard operating procedures of the corporate firms that you will learn there. But corporates, including law firms, they select people who have the knowledge of law.
Thank you so much, Professor Shrijit and Professor Manveen. I think we have covered all the questions.
There's one last question that probably you or your team can take up, which is about the scholarship opportunities for LLM students. So I think that's an important question actually. So if you could just quickly answer that question as to whether there are any scholarship opportunities available for the LLM students.
Yes, there are some scholarship opportunities available for the LLM students as well, provided they are able to fulfill the criteria of merit cum means. That means they should be in the top 20% of the merit list. That will be decided by the admissions committee once all the admissions are done. Plus, their parental income should not exceed 30 lakhs. So you should be in a position to furnish your ITR documents, which should not exceed 30 lakhs. If you are able to fulfill both these criteria, so in that case, you stand a chance to qualify for the scholarship only on the tuition fee ranging from 10% to 75%. I hope this answers the question. So thank you so much, Professor Shrijit and Professor Manveen for joining us. And we hope that it will help the students to have an informed perspective in terms of what to expect and what not to expect out of an LLM program at CPGLS. So thank you so much once again. And thank you so much to all the students who have joined us. Thank you.
Thank you so much.